I'm 34 now, but this happened when I was 27. At the time, I worked as a freelance sound editor, mostly cleaning up dialogue tracks for low-budget films and podcasts. It meant long hours alone, headphones on, nights blending into mornings. I've always been the quiet, rational type. Not superstitious, not religious, the kind of person who double-checks locks but rolls their eyes at ghost stories. This took place in late October in a mid-sized city I'd just moved to for cheaper rent. I was living alone in a small, older apartment building, 4 floors, no elevator, built sometime in the 1950s. It wasn't creepy in the obvious way, just worn. Yellow hallway lights, stained carpet, pipes that knocked sometimes at night. That particular evening was unremarkable. I remember because nothing stood out. I'd spent most of the day editing audio, took a break around 9 p.m., heated up leftover pasta, and decided to do laundry in the basement. The building shared 2 washers and dryers, and they were almost always free late at night. I grabbed my basket, my phone, my headphones, and headed out. I didn't feel anxious. I didn't feel watched. I wasn't tired enough to be jumpy. If anything, I was mildly annoyed about a client revision I'd have to deal with in the morning. That's what still bothers me the most. There was no warning feeling, no dread, just another quiet night that should have stayed forgettable. The laundry room was down 2 flights of stairs and through a heavy metal door that always slammed shut behind you. The basement smelled faintly of detergent and old concrete. 1 fluorescent light flickered near the back, but it had been doing that since I moved in. I remember sorting my clothes slowly, listening to a podcast through one earbud while the machines filled. I even sent a voice note to a friend complaining about sock lint. Nothing strange. No noises besides the washer churning and the distant hum of the building's heating system. When the load started, I checked the time, 9:42 p.m., and decided to wait upstairs instead of sitting on the plastic chair down there. I locked the basement door behind me like I always did. It wasn't required, but it made me feel better. Back in my apartment, I scrolled through emails, half-watched a show, and eventually went back down around 10:30 to switch everything to the dryer. That trip was just as boring. Same smell, same flickering light. No one else around. While loading the dryer, I noticed something small that didn't register as fear yet, just confusion. The basement door, the one I always locked, was slightly ajar. I remember standing there holding a damp hoodie, trying to remember if I'd forgotten to lock it. I shrugged it off. Old latch, old building. I closed it, turned the lock until it clicked, and finished up. The dryer would take about 40 minutes. I stayed in my apartment this time, answering messages and cleaning up my workspace. I didn't think about the door again until later. That's when things started to feel off. Not dangerous, just misaligned. Like something in the routine had shifted slightly, and I couldn't tell what. When I went back down to get my clothes, it was just after 11:15 p.m. The hallway lights on my floor felt dimmer than usual, but I told myself that was just because it was late and my eyes were tired. The basement door was open again, wide this time. I stopped at the top of the stairs and stared down, listening. No footsteps, no voices, just the dryer tumbling somewhere below. I felt embarrassed by the sudden spike of adrenaline. I remember actually laughing under my breath, whispering, "Relax." I went down anyway. The laundry room looked the same, but the air felt colder. My clothes were done, warm and static heavy. As I pulled them out, I noticed the podcast had stopped playing. My phone screen was black, battery dead. That annoyed me more than anything. As I folded, I heard a sound that made me pause. It wasn't loud, it was subtle, like fabric brushing fabric. A soft shh sound. I assumed it was my clothes shifting until I realized it was coming from behind me. I turned around quickly. Nothing. Just the concrete wall, a utility shelf, and the closed basement door. I stood there longer than necessary, listening. The sound didn't repeat. My heart slowed down. Again, I rationalized it away. Old building, pipes, my own movement echoing. I grabbed my basket and headed back upstairs. Halfway up, I heard the basement door open behind me. I didn't see it. I heard it. A slow, deliberate creak. Not a slam, not a bounce. Someone opening it carefully. I stood frozen on the stairs, waiting for footsteps that never came. After a few seconds, I forced myself to keep going. I didn't look back. I told myself if I did, I'd just scare myself for no reason. That was the first time I thought, something is wrong. Not supernatural, just wrong. Over the next few days, small things kept happening. My kitchen cabinet would be open when I came home. Not wide, just enough to notice. My bathroom mirror would be slightly fogged, even though I hadn't showered. Once, I found a faint handprint on the inside of my front door, smeared like someone had pressed their palm there and dragged it downward. Each time, I explained it away. Old building, moisture, my own forgetfulness. But my sleep started to suffer. I began waking up around 3 a.m. almost every night, heart racing, convinced I'd heard movement in my apartment. Not footsteps, more like shifting weight, fabric against skin, breathing that wasn't synced with mine. One night I turned on every light and searched the apartment, closets, bathroom, under the bed. Nothing. I started locking my bedroom door, something I'd never done before. The real escalation came a week later. I came home from a late grocery run and noticed my apartment door was unlocked. I stood there with my keys in my hand, staring at the handle. I knew I'd locked it. I always did. My stomach dropped in a way that felt physical, like missing a step on the stairs. Inside, nothing was obviously missing, but something had been moved. My office chair was turned toward the bedroom hallway. I never left it like that. I backed out of the apartment, locked the door, and went to my car. I sat there for a long time, shaking, trying to decide if I was overreacting. I didn't call the police. I didn't want to explain something I couldn't prove. I went back inside eventually. That night, I slept with a kitchen knife on my nightstand. The confrontation happened 2 nights later. I woke up to a sound so close it bypassed fear and went straight into shock. Breathing, not mine. It was shallow and uneven, like someone trying to stay quiet. I didn't move. I didn't even open my eyes at first. My whole body felt pinned to the mattress. I could hear my own heartbeat in my ears. Then the smell hit me. Laundry detergent. The same cheap brand I used. I opened my eyes. The bedroom door was open. There was a shape in the darkness beyond it. Not a figure in the horror movie sense, just a darker patch of shadow where there shouldn't have been one. I whispered, "Hello?" The breathing stopped. For a second, I thought maybe I'd imagined everything. Sleep paralysis, stress. Then something shifted, a footstep, careful, bare. I sat up, grabbed the knife and said louder, "Get out!" There was a pause, then a voice, soft, close and wrong in a way I can't fully explain. "You left the door open!" I screamed. I jumped out of bed, slammed the bedroom door shut and locked it. The handle rattled once, just once, not violently, almost politely. Then silence. I stayed there until morning, crying, shaking, phone clutched in my hand, too afraid to make a sound. When the sun came up, the apartment was empty. No signs of forced entry, no footprints, no fingerprints anyone could find, just the smell of detergent lingering in my hallway. The police came. They were calm, professional, and clearly unconvinced. They suggested a break-in, maybe someone with a copied key from a previous tenant. They took a report and told me to change the locks. I did more than that. I broke my lease and moved out within a week. For months afterward, I slept with lights on. Any unfamiliar sound made my chest tighten. I became obsessed with locking routines, counting turns of the key, checking windows repeatedly. I replaced my detergent brand. I stopped working nights. No one was ever caught. No neighbors reported anything similar. Management claimed no one else had access to my unit. On paper, it was an unresolved attempted burglary. In my body, it felt like something else entirely. It's been 7 years. Sometimes when I wake up too early, I swear I can still smell that detergent, faint, clean, and out of place. Last month I found a photo on my phone I don't remember taking. It's a dark hallway, my hallway, and at the end of it reflected faintly in the mirror. Someone standing just outside the frame. I still don't sleep without my door locked.